Welcome back to the channel. We're in this video hopefully going to be wrapping up this series on working on the International 986, the front end, all the steering parts. This went quite a bit longer than I thought. I forget, I'd have to look see how many different parts we're up to now, but I originally thought we'd do this in two videos, but just the time it's taken to do a lot of this work, and then I guess I didn't have to record all of it or include all of it, but I know some of the steps I was looking for videos online just to see how things came apart or maybe what the best way was. There didn't seem to be a lot out there. We'll get to work here and hopefully get this front end back together and under the tractor. We're going to tap the trunnion bushings in. Flip it over and do the other side. I did not record threading on this new steering ball end or ball joint, but it just threaded straight on. I threaded it till the threads bottomed out and then tightened down the lock bolt on it. Here's the part number for these trunnion bushings. I got a little bit of dirt I need to wipe out when I flip that over. We're about flush now, we'll go a little further. Yeah, we're just down inside that recess. Get you a closer look here. Luckily, so far, none of these bores on anything that I've checked so far. I checked the bushings, I believe, on everything, and so far, none of these bores have had any wear in them to where the bushings weren't nice and tight. So, been very lucky with that. We picked out two O-rings here to replace the two that came out of the center steering arm. And I don't know if you can see on this chart here on this O-ring kit, they're size, get my finger out of the way, size 214, which is a 1-inch ID and a 1 1/4-inch OD and an 1/8 inch thickness. And those are extremely close. We'll get those greased up and we'll put those in. The manual doesn't, or the shop manual doesn't really say anything about whether these should be greased or not, but figure for where they're going here, I'm gonna put that center pin or whatever you want to call that goes through here. And then they're going to be, the pin will be rubbing on the inside of them, and then as this turns, it'll be rubbing against the center casting. So I figured it'd be better off just greasing them than putting them in dry. Again, if any of this stuff that I'm doing, if you guys have done it and know that something I'm doing is not right, please leave a comment. I'll definitely get it fixed. All right, this center section should be ready to go. The steering cylinder is ready to go. I think we'll do a 1 screw on everything to make sure, but I think we're about ready to start putting parts back together. These are the last bushings that we need. It's the part number there. This is for the axle, the main pivot pin. You guys see me hammering a bunch of bushings so far. I'm gonna do these the same way. I'm gonna get a socket. So I'm not gonna show that, but we're gonna get these installed, and then we're gonna get that pivot pin put in. Probably the most important thing with this is keeping your locking pin hole lined up. All right, we got started here. I'm gonna put this pin in for now just to be able to keep it, make it easier to turn to keep it straight. And what I'm doing is I'm trying to keep it lined up with, there's this casting seam on the axle. That should be centered, so I'm trying to keep it lined up with that. Obviously, we'll probably have a little movement with the bolster here, if I can hold the pin still, but the closer I get to start with, the better. I'm just put my fingers right here just to make sure it's moving, just feel it. What I don't want to do is tap this in and drive a bushing out. So just getting a gentle, very gentle tap and just feeling with my fingers, make sure it's moving. All right, we just bottomed out on the pin. That's about as close to straight as I have it. And luckily this main pivot pin here is going in pretty nice. I checked it again on the bushings and it's not overly loose. It's snug, so it feels good. Sorry about the rain noise, it just started raining. So I have it lined up extremely close. I can't see that it's not lined up. So what I did, I don't know if you can see it on there, is I took a file and just filed a very slight bevel on the end of this pin. Just in case it's not perfectly lined up, it's not catching on just a small shoulder. So we'll see if that helps. It's still hitting. Put a punch in there, I can feel just a slight edge, but I can't tell which side it's on. You can't see it. It looks, when you look through there, it looks perfectly lined up. There we go. So what I did is I tapped the pin back out just slightly, even though I don't remember it being protruding out that little bit when I originally removed it, but that's what it took to line it up, so that's what we'll go with. Get a punch to put that the rest of the way through. Got it. Just took the steering cylinder, slid it inside this center steering support and put the two trunnion bolts, top and bottom. Just put those in finger tight. And I'm getting ready now to take this piece here, the center steering support and the cylinder, and put it in the axle. I'm trying to decide though whether I want to use a tractor and get the axle flipped over. Let me show you that. So right now, I threw a couple slings on because I wasn't sure which way I was going, but right now we have both spindles on obviously, but not the steering arms. So if I flip it over, those spindles could slide out. So I'm trying to decide whether I want to use a tractor to now grab this and kind of spin it over, but where the spindles or the hubs are still on the ground. Then I could put the steering arms on and at least snug the nut up on top just to hold those in place. This thing now with the spindles in and that center bolster on there is just getting heavy enough. It's difficult to move around by hand, so. Got everything set up here. Try and stay out of the way and get this installed so you guys can see. There were spacers, shims, above and below the center steering arm. So I marked which ones were which. Try and get these back in here. It might have been easier, I don't know. I was gonna say it might have been easier to put this ball end on after, but I don't know if that's actually the case. So we're gonna try and do it all at once here. That might be the easiest way. Yeah, that's not hard. One thing I am noticing though is my cribbing here is in the way. So try and just slide this back some, the cylinder itself sitting on it. Okay, there we go. Let's see if I can get my pin started. I'm gonna shut the camera off quick. I'm gonna get a little grease on this pin. What I'd like to do is get the pin started, get the bottom shims lined up, and then get the pin started into the center steering shaft or center steering arm, and then see if the shims I have on top are enough, or if one of them is a very thin shim. And now that there's 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top, and 3 of the 4 are very similar, and the one of the top ones is very thin. So I'm gonna look and see, maybe we need to get a little thicker shim on that, but let me get some grease on this pin. All right, we got the pin greased up. Again, just a light coating of grease on it. Just make sure the hole's close to lined up here. It'd be easier if I could get this up in the air, which I probably could with the tractor, but almost there. Come around this side and try. It started, just starting into the Alright, we got the pin started. Let me check these other shims now. I don't know if you can see that. 2 on the bottom are both this thick, or very close to it, and then the one on the top is a very thin one, so I'm checking. I don't know that you could get much. You could get a thicker shim in there, but I don't know how much it would take. We're almost there. I can see the pins in the shims here. We're just actually trying to get it into the hole on the casting itself, on the axle casting. If this bolster wasn't in the way, it'd be much easier to see. I didn't want to put this center arm section in before this, just in case I needed to get in there for that other main pivot pin. So give it a couple gentle taps here with a hammer. It's coming through. There it is. All right, we'll get the roll pin tapped in. Just tap the roll pin in. I'm gonna go through now. I'm gonna tighten this top trunnion bolt. I'll tighten the bottom trunnion bolt, and I'll get this nut and washer on the bottom of this ball end. I'm not gonna record that just to save some time. We'll get those tightened up, then we'll get the steering arms brought over and get those on. It's one side started on. I don't know for sure yet that I have that on the correct spline. I'm gonna get these started. I'm gonna get both steering arms on. Then I'm gonna get the cylinder kind of pushed over back to as close to straight ahead as I can tell. And then I'm gonna get the hubs moved as close to straight ahead, and then I'll reposition these arms. I'm gonna go ahead and throw the other side on, then we'll do that. All right, threw the tires on quick. I didn't record that. I figured everybody knew how to put the tires on. I went through, I greased it all. The initial grease. I didn't grease the tie rod ends yet, but I didn't change those, so I'll get to them. I got everything tightened up. I think now I am ready I'm gonna fire the tractor back up. And throughout this process, somehow I got the axle spun around backwards. Probably one of the times I was pounding bushings out or something, but so I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna get it turned around, get it back here in position, and then get the floor jack underneath the back here because it wants to droop down. And then I'll get Logan to give me a hand and we'll wheel this back underneath the tractor. Logan and I just wheeled the front end here back under the tractor. We have the 4 front bolster bolts in and snugged up pretty tight. And we have the 3 bolts for the rear ball socket there in and snugged up pretty tight. I did not record us pushing this in here just because I had Logan here helping me and I didn't want it slipping off the jack and anything with him getting hurt. So I decided to keep the camera off and just focus on getting this pushed in there. So we have that back up. I'm just gonna drop the jack, and for today, we're gonna call it a day, but hopefully tomorrow we'll have time, we'll get back down here. We'll get this thing off the jack stands, and then we still gotta connect the hydraulic lines. We got the tractor down off the jack stands, off all the cribbing. We're gonna fire it up and bleed the steering. According to the manual, you just turn it basically lock to lock a few times till you get all the air out. And right now that the steering cylinder is completely full of air, just because as I was putting the tires back in, I ended up turning a couple different times, and I'm pretty sure I drained all the oil out of it. So it might take a few minutes. I'm gonna let the tractor run for a few minutes first just to warm up. I haven't started it in quite a while. So I'm gonna let it sit and idle for a little bit, and then I'll probably pull it outside. Thanks everyone for watching. Like I said, I hope this series that we did on the international steering, hope this was helpful for somebody. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit the like, subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video.